My name is Steve. I am the Affordable Life Coach, and today we're going to talk about anxiety and what I found to be most effective in my life, in my client's life, in dealing with anxiety. It's a bugaboo that plagues us all, some to a greater degree than others. But from my research and studies and coaching to see what works, what doesn't work, there's things I found that are extremely effective, and it will give you a different perspective on anxiety. If you're interested in a complimentary consultation, my email is in the description, and it's ridiculously affordable. And I encourage everyone, give it a try. There is no obligation. It's session by session, and it is life changing over a period of time. It's not a quick fix. Nothing is when we're talking about making deep seated change. Anxiety is all around us. You could see it when you go driving and people getting stressed. You could see it at work. You could see it at family. You could see it on social media. You could see it on the news. You could see it with the politics. You could see it within yourself. Anxiety is taboo, is something that is you don't really talk about, you don't really want. It's something that you just like, get away from me. I don't want to deal with you. You're too scary. You're too depleting. It just sucks the energy and life force out of us. And a big part of it, a lot of us have an unhealthy relationship with anxiety. And so when I'm coaching clients, one of the things that is really important is we want to be empowered. We don't ever want to be a victim or have a victim mindset. And one of the common things I'll tell people in sessions is a lot of them don't like to hear this, but when they're venting, upset, unhappy about, or stressed or anxious about something that's happened, it's human nature to blame something outside of ourselves. It's external. It's them. It's that. It's my boss. It's work. It's the traffic. It's the economy, on and on and on. And it's my boyfriend. It's my girlfriend. It's my wife. It's my child. And it's not that. I tell them, you are the problem and you are the solution. If you are feeling anxious, it's because you feel like you don't have control over your life, and especially with the reaction to what does or doesn't happen in your life. And the way I look at anxiety can be very beneficial. It is a survival mechanism that is supposed to help us. And if you view anxiety as a call to action, it's like the trumpet player in the army. It's like time to come out and line up. It's time to wake up in the morning. It is, and like an alarm in your when you on your phone or your alarm clock. It's a call to action. Hey, it's time to get out of bed and it's time to start engaging with the day, earning money so you can have a roof over your head, food in your stomach. And what we do is we push away anxiety. And one of the most destructive strategies that humans use to push away anxiety is to numb out, is to drink, is to eat, gamble, sex addiction, porn addiction, going on screens, playing video games, watching news, watching things that are anxious in the world so you don't have to think about your own troubles, worries, and woes. And it's a form of altering your mood and your behavior, your mood, more so your mood and how you feel and your behavior, because when you're numbing out, you're not taking action. And if we're going by the premise that anxiety is a call to action and you don't take action, what happens to that anxiety? It grows and grows and grows and gets bigger. It's the snowball effect. And I have some clients that really struggle with anxiety. I struggle with anxiety. And it's something that I've been able to make significant progress on by just changing, reframing, and changing the relationship I have to anxiety. Because when I'm feeling anxious, I'm like, okay, what unfinished task or am I not dealing with? What unfinished situation? What uncomfortable conversation with someone? What am I avoiding? What am I escaping? What am I fearful of? And I'm not dealing with it. And when you don't deal with those things, the volume gets turned up and we become more anxious. And it's a vicious cycle because the more anxious you become, the more we turn to our escapist behaviors, the addictions, the bad habits, the things that temporarily make us feel good, only to ramp up the volume on our anxiety after we disengage from whatever behavior. And sometimes even when you're engaging in the addiction, like you're on screens, you're on Netflix, Facebook, whatever, you're like in the back of your mind going, oh my gosh, I have this big thing that I have to do. I'm not dealing with it. And you're procrastinating. And procrastinating is another way that anxiety just magnifies. And that's why it's so important to plan out your days, weeks, and months. Each day when you wake up, you want to know exactly what needs to be accomplished. And the way I look at it is, what am I most resistant towards? And usually that's going to have the highest payoff on my time invested. And it's going to give me anxiety relief and give my clients anxiety relief. It's called Eat That Frog. If you have to eat a live frog, which is a disgusting thing to have to do, the best time to do it is first thing in the morning. Otherwise, you are paying anticipation and anxiety on a task that's upcoming. So we want to just get things out of the way. And getting things, it's called the Zeigarnik effect by a Eastern European psychologist. I forgot her first name, but that was her last name. And when we have unfinished tasks, it creates this low-level anxiety and it starts ruminating in our head when we have incomplete tasks. That's why writing it down, as long as the part of your brain knows that you're going to actually complete it, you're not going to write it down and just put it off. But if you want to be anxious, just avoid things. Avoid social situations. Avoid doing your taxes. Avoid doing things that make you uncomfortable. Avoid keeping your house clean, tidy. Avoid doing your homework on time and in preparation. Avoid going to the gym and taking care of your health. Avoid going to bed early. Like, inevitably, people who are anxious have so many avoidant tendencies, and it signals to their brain, this is something to be fearful of. This is something scary. Why else would we avoid it? Avoid the uncomfortable conversations. It's just like avoid, escape is the recipe. If I was making a video, how to be anxious, procrastinate, avoid, do things that only make you feel comfortable, do things only that are pleasurable, do things only that are easy. You have a really good recipe for anxiety. Don't plan for the future. And it's doing difficult things. It's doing things that make you uncomfortable. It's doing things that there's some risk or requires some courage. That strengthens our muscle of deep inner calm. And if you ever met a person who has deep inner calm, you'll notice that they have a strong sense of self and they have a strong trust about who they are and what they can accomplish, and that they feel safe. It's like their inner child feels protected and safe, like the adult version of themselves is going to take care of business. And when anxious people were not taking care of business. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody. There's some people that are just perpetually anxious no matter what, but this will alleviate it. And there are other things that you can do in order to alleviate the anxiety, and I'll get to a little bit later on in the video. And if you are avoiding a task because it makes you anxious. So this is, again, comes up in coaching sessions. What we do is we break it down to small baby steps, small little tasks. Then there's accountability. When they have a session with me again, they know it's not just if they ignore it, it's no big deal. No one's going to even notice. There's gentle accountability, and we figure out why they are avoiding the task. And sometimes, or the goal or the habit, sometimes it's just they don't want it badly enough. And you can't force yourself to do something that you're not willing to make the sacrifice for, put the effort towards. But it feels so good putting hard effort into your life. You feel that sense of accomplishment, and it's the antidote to anxiety. And I say this in previous videos, and I talk to this with my clients, but it's just about starting. Just start. Even if it's a 2-minute, you set a 2-minute timer and you just start and you stay consistent and you be a man or woman of your word. But I would encourage you, and again, this is something that if you're interested in coaching, we do in coaching, we can do an inventory. What are the things that are making you anxious? And there could be little things. Oh, I haven't spoken to a friend for quite some time, and now I'm uncomfortable about reaching out to them because I don't know if they're mad at me, or I don't know, it might be awkward. I have left my house untidy. Things are a little bit chaotic. I can't find things, and that's me. Things are disorganized, or things that are cluttered. That will make people anxious. If there's tension between you and another person, and you're just avoiding that person, or you're avoiding that uncomfortable conversation, that'll make you anxious. If you're not disciplined with how you create your budgets and savings and how you spend your money, and you're addicted to shopping or Amazon purchases or whatever, that can make you anxious. Escapism behavior really makes us anxious, because when I'm mindlessly just surfing the internet, in the background I got this voice saying, oh, you're avoiding stuff and you have things to take care of, and then I don't even enjoy being able to have some downtime. So I really try to avoid that as much as possible. We all fall victim to it at times, but it's just something to be vigilant about. And each thing is a little drop in the bucket of anxiety, drop in the bucket of avoiding something, or not eating healthy, or not exercising, going to the gym, or doing some type of more intense cardiovascular workout where you're releasing the anxiety. We're not designed to be sedentary, sitting, staring at a screen surrounded by four walls. And so I was talking about earlier, some people are just kind of hardwired towards anxiety. And that's where, and we all need to do this, it'll just lower the level, is do things that alleviate and release anxiety. Like animals in the wild, after they get chased by a predator, they shake it off. They run, they flee, they escape, fight, flight, or freeze, and then they shake it off. And we have so much anxiety throughout the day. I was reading one article. It was saying even people get anxious answering their emails, in that their breathing becomes more shallow and they don't blink as much, and they become a little bit more stressed. And just even being mindful of that. Am I breathing? Taking a break in between, a couple minute break every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes, something like that, just to kind of get back in sync with your breath. That's another really effective strategy. Don't lose your breath. Just stay connected and anchored with your breath, and that will help to alleviate anxiety. And then nature, not just being in nature. We're so nature deprived, and spending as much time in nature as possible, even if you don't have access to nature, or it's far, or you don't have transportation or whatever, finding urban nature, places where there's nice parks or quiet streets with trees and birds. You could listen to the birds, or some trails, finding little nooks of nature to go and just to recharge your battery and to calm down. It's very hard to stay stressed and anxious when you're in nature. And then prevention is the key. I get very anxious when I'm going to the airport, and pretty much anything where there's a time crunch and I'm leaving it, cutting it too close, I can feel the anxiety. So figure out what your anxiety, things that lead you to anxiety, and then practice prevention. So I just make sure I leave early, give myself a big cushion when I'm going to the airport or I have to be somewhere. And that just helps me to be calm and relaxed. Staying on top of things, not letting things pile up. If I let, dishes pile up, that starts to make me anxious. And so just little strategies, and that's something, if you wanted coaching, that we can work out, little strategies and techniques to learn about how you can prevent your own inner anxiety. And journaling is another such a valuable tool in dealing with anxiety. I'm amazed when I journal. I've been journaling for decades, and I'm just amazed. I don't journal every day, but man, when I journal, on the days I do, it just makes such a big difference. And not only just when I'm anxious, but just to figure out what I'm doing right, figure out what's going well, and figure out where I'm struggling, where I'm having challenges. Something about writing it down makes it a lot more impactful. And here's another part of anxiety. Sometimes anxiety, I call them like anxiety storms, where my clients will just get caught up with an anxiety storm. I'll get caught up with an anxiety storm. I got caught up with one yesterday. I had watched something on YouTube, on the news. It was like a little bit frightening, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? This is scary stuff. That's why avoiding the news is really, really good. Sometimes it's not always possible, but trying to avoid it as much as you can. And I just happened to, it was, those automatic scrolling in my YouTube feed, and then something came up. I was like, oh my gosh. And then my mind starts catastrophizing. Well, what's this mean? This is going to be terrible if this continues to get worse, and, on and on and on. And I just got caught up in an anxiety storm. And the thing that makes it so much worse is when we fight it, when we push it away, when we numb out, when we say, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to feel this, go away from me. And the best thing we can do is treat it like a storm, like an actual storm. You see a storm in the horizon, you're caught up in the storm. When I was doing my bicycle trip, I was out in the middle of nowhere. I remember one vicious storm. I was in Wyoming on my bicycle. I was, I had my tent and everything like that. And I was exposed, and it was thunder, lightning, hail just pouring down on me. And I was just like covering in a ditch. It's so stressful, so anxiety provoking, because I don't know if I'm going to get struck by lightning. I don't know what was going to happen. And I happen to have a fear of that, fear of lightning. And just going in with the mindset that this too shall pass. That storm's going to pass. My anxiety storm yesterday, it passed. I'm fine now. And I noticed when I resist it, it's sticky. It sticks with us much longer. When I say, bring it on. Here comes the storm. I'm going to batten down the hatches. I'm going to take cover. And this is a temporary situation. The storm is going to pass. Then I don't feel so attached. It doesn't stick to me. It's not as overwhelming. It's just liberating, because when we resist anxiety, see, anxiety is that alarm bell. It's a call to action to do something. You need to take care of this situation. And when we push it away and we avoid, procrastinate, numb out, go to our bad habits, the alarm gets louder. Like I said earlier in the video, it just gets louder, and then we feel more stressed, more anxious. So what I try to do is there anything I can take action on? This particular thing, yeah, that happened yesterday. There's some steps I could do to take action, but so much of it is out of my control, especially when you're talking about the news. There's so much division and chaos and stress and things that just are outside of our control. And so I go, okay, I'll write down the things that I can take care of. And I'm just going to not try to get rid of this because it doesn't work. It just makes things only worse. And I went to the gym, I exercised, and that helped a lot. But it was still there, not to the same degree, but it was still there. And I just said, this will pass. And sometimes I even go, just bring it on. I want to feel more anxious, because that which you resist persists. And so if you like pull it into you and know that, hey, I can handle this, or this is something beneficial, or this is something that can teach me something, or this can be a sign that I need to take better care of my mental health, or I need to meditate more, or you need to pray more, or you need to strengthen your spiritual muscle. All really good things. But the anxiety, once it gets going, once it's revved up, you have to just be patient and let it run its course. And you could do things, like I said, to manage it somewhat, but it's just going to really take time. And fighting it is the worst thing that we can do. And the nice thing about all of this is my anxiety, my fears, and when I'm coaching clients, it's a good indicator of our spiritual health, of our lifestyle health, of our mental health, even our physical health. It's a good metric in which to measure how grounded we are spiritually, physically, mentally, psychologically. And so I always like to, it's kind of like taking the temperature if you think you're sick, and if it's really high, you know something's wrong. So I like to look at it that way, not to, oh, something's wrong, and feel badly about myself, but, oh, how can I grow from this? What can I learn? What areas am I ignoring, or what areas of my clients' lives are they ignoring and not dealing with? Are they not sleeping enough? Are they eating too much junk food, too much sugar? Are they having too much caffeine? That'll really make your anxiety, exacerbate your anxiety, make it worse. And so it's like we make friends with anxiety, and we look at it as an opportunity for growth. If there's something that is making you anxious, like one of my clients, she struggles with social fear, social anxiety, and how she's being perceived. And so, beautiful. Let's lean into it. And that's what's going to diminish the anxiety, not avoiding it. That's just watering and fertilizing the anxiety. But we want to lean into it. And it's such a great way to navigate your life, using anxiety as an ally instead of an enemy. And this is something that is challenging to do on your own. And that's why really it helps to have someone who's not a friend or a family member get you on that path where you're growing, where you're evolving, where you're doing things that make you slightly uncomfortable, and you're having more peace in your life, and you're getting a different perspective on your blind spots, things that you're not aware of. So if you're interested, email me in the description. And like I said, the consultation is absolutely free, no obligation, and it's incredibly affordable. That's my goal, is to make it affordable for people. And like always, your comments, if you like these videos, please consider subscribing. Liking it means a lot to me. And if you want to do even a little bit extra, please consider supporting the channel, even if it's there's a PayPal link in the description. Even a small amount, or you want to make a small monthly donation, it means a lot to me, and it just inspires and encourages me to continue making videos. This has been a long time this channel has been going, and I appreciate all your support and look forward to the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.